What is up, everyone? Corn O'Keefe back yet again with a quick little prediction video for the upcoming death battle. We got Aquaman versus Prince Namor, aka the Submariner himself. DC versus Marvel yet again, folks. But honestly, this is a heavily requested fight all across the freaking internet, though. Heavily controversial. So I'm here to give you my little prediction, tell you how I think will win and why, put some feats on the screen for you. So without further ado, let's get down to business. So starting off, let's start off with attack potency, and or striking force for both characters. So Prince Namor starting off, he's been consistently shown to be comparable to the Thing. Now if we know anything about the Thing is actually comparable, if not slightly stronger than Grey Hulk. Grey Hulk himself was able to destroy an asteroid twice the size of the Earth. Namor also has some other smaller feats going for him, like overpowering Spider-Man, which obviously he should be able to do that if he's comparable to the Thing, am I right? And you also have another feat of him actually busting through a mountain of freaking ice. Pretty decently impressive in his own freaking right. And he even has some higher showings you might be able to scale into. He's actually made Hercules bleed. It's the same Hercules who's been able to wrestle with Thor, trade blows with Thor. He's also been seen fighting Thor on a couple of occasions, although on one occasion Thor did knock him out in one punch, but nonetheless, making characters on that level bleed is impressive, and he even made the Sentry bleed as well, folks. So when you really take into consideration these characters that I just mentioned should at bare minimum, keep in mind, have planet level durability at the very least. That means Namor can damage and make somebody bleed who can tank at bare minimum planetary attacks. And heck, the Sentry on multiple occasions have been stated to have the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. You even have characters like Silver Surfer blowing up a solar system, flying through supernovas, and Thor is quite comparable to the Silver Surfer. Same with Hercules, and yet you have Namor here somewhat consistently making him bleed. So I would say at absolute bare minimum, he does have planetary striking force or attack potency, possibly much higher. Now, as for Aquaman, consistently, at least within specifically New 52, Aquaman was able to actually decently keep up with Wonder Woman, even put hands on her, damaged her a little bit, even managed to sucker punch and land some pretty decent hits on New 52 Superman. Although in one of the fights with Superman, it was made clear at the end that Superman was holding back, not trying to kill Aquaman, and Aquaman did have his wife there as well, and at one point they were trying to double team Superman, and at the end Superman basically threatened Aquaman, and Aquaman actually took that to heart. So Aquaman definitely is somewhat comparable to New 52 Wonder Woman and somewhat comparable to New 52 Superman. Heck, he was actually able to decently damage New 52 Martian Manhunter, which is also pretty freaking impressive in his own right. And there's also the possibility, because if you remember, technically the New 52 Superman, the younger one, technically died. We have pre-New 52 within the Rebirth, which is technically from post-Crisis, so he should technically have, at least that Superman himself should have solar system up to solar system plus level feats consistently if you go off his post-Crisis days and consider that fact. And there is a decent chance Aquaman within Rebirth scales to those levels from back then. So with Aquaman at bare minimum planetary, if you consider the fact of the New 52, they have consistent planetary feats. And I'm not saying Superman, Wonder Woman at their best are planetary. I'm just saying in that specific continuity. And then you have Rebirth, which was literally right after. It's still part of New 52. It's just they brought pre-New 52 Superman and New 52 died, you know. So you have both characters being at bare minimum planet level, possibly much higher up to the solar system ranges in terms of attack potency. You also have their tridents. Now Aquaman has consistently used his trident more, but nonetheless Namor does have one, and Namor's trident has been able to clash with Thor's hammer on occasions. And obviously we know how potent Thor's hammer actually is. And you obviously have Aquaman's, which actually has been stated in the comics to be indestructible. It's actually pierced through one of Darkseid's avatars, which is very freaking impressive, obviously. Now, as far as speed goes, you know, combat, short burst combat, reaction time, Aquaman within New 52 was able to actually blitz Wonder Woman from close up. And obviously New 52 characters still have FTL feats in terms of combat, and especially massively faster than light travel feats. But in terms of combat, bare minimum FTL, and here Aquaman did blitz her. He also has dodged Black Manta's laser beams, which technically are the speed of light, since it is a beam, a laser beam. You have Namor, who has actually kept it with Thing. As I mentioned earlier, Thing can actually react to meteors, making him massively hypersonic. Namor himself has actually dodged lasers. It actually says on the panel, he himself calls them lasers, and you see him basically dodging them on the panel. So I mean, bare minimum relativistic speeds, if not light speeds, for Namor as well. But I would personally say Aquaman edges out in the speed category, since he was able to blitz Wonder Woman, so he should technically be able to at least get a blitz or two in on Namor. But for the most part, they are close, decently close. If you go off Namor dodging the actual lasers, he should be roughly comparable to Aquaman's speed. Now Namor does have very fast travel speed, flight speed in his own right. I forgot to mention, he actually is very mobile, able to fly. Flew from the ocean to space in a very, very short amount of time. As for their durability, obviously that should be roughly the same. I mean, Namor's bulletproof, Aquaman's damn near bulletproof, basically is bulletproof. Close, very close. I mean, even Black Manta implies that, and he says that Aquaman's muscle density is actually 10 times greater than that of a normal human, or a peak human. And obviously both these guys can trade blows for the most part with characters like the Thing, Wonder Woman, etc. Now, in terms of skill, while Namor is a good fighter, he was even part of the Illuminati, very intelligent businessman in his own freaking right, there has been several occasions where he gets kind of hot-headed and he just kind of rushes in and likes to brawl with people, and that has kind of led to his downfall on a couple of occasions. Aquaman is a much more tactical fighter, even being complimented by Wonder Woman, smart enough to even keep up with her in combat, for crying out loud. And he is smart enough to know to use a weapon more often than not as well, like his trident. He's definitely capable with or without. At least he is smart enough to know to use it more often than not, because obviously it does come in handy. And that weapon's very versatile, able to control lightning, the winds, all kinds of stuff. He can telepathically talk to animals, marine life, all that stuff. Summon them to help. Now Namor can do stuff along those lines as well. It's just, again, Aquaman has consistently shown to do it more often, whereas Namor prefers to brawl on his own. I'm not saying he won't do it or can, obviously he can, but he's just more of a single brawler. I mean, he always try to pick fights with people like Base Savage Hulk, freaking Fantastic Four. And obviously he's teamed up with them too, but you get the gist. He's just not as a tactical fighter as Aquaman. He's still good, just not as good or of a tactician as Aquaman, at least in my opinion. Aquaman's very skilled with the trident as well. He can also change it into a sword. Also, it should be noted, Namor's actually trained how to use a sword as well. He's actually pretty good with it, if I do say so myself. But that's basically my little rundown of the characters. So who do I think would win? Well, this is actually close. Closer than some people probably think, to be honest. And that being said, though, I gotta give it to Aquaman more often than not. Simply because I would slightly give him the speed advantage, yes. They are definitely comparable, in my opinion, in terms of attack power and durability. Both have tridents, obviously. It's just Aquaman is more known, more consistently used his over the years consistently. And it's also shown that it can stab through Darkseid's avatar. With that being said, Namor's trident has clashed with Thor's hammer, but you get the gist. Aquaman's trident is used a lot more tactically as well by Aquaman. He himself is a much more tactical fighter, more rational in battle, and is also stronger when it comes to his like telepathic aquatic life abilities, you know, summoning the animals, telepathically talking to them, having them come aid him. His abilities should be more potent than Namor's. Now, you could definitely argue Namor has the mobility advantage, as he has consistently shown to fly over the years with like the little wings on his feet. Consistently shown to fly, so he is very mobile, more mobile than Aquaman. But Aquaman's faced people who could fly, you know, like Wonder Woman, etc. So at the end of the day, while I do personally say they are comparable, they can definitely trade blows with each other, take hits from each other, I do personally think Aquaman is faster by enough to matter. Not a whole lot, but it's still enough to make a difference at the end of the fight. Along with being a better tactician and honestly more versatile when it comes to his telepathic abilities and what he can actually do. Heck, I think he's even entered the mind of Martian Manhunter before with his telepathic abilities. So there's that. So yeah, I gotta give it to Aquaman more often than not, at least 6 times out of 10, with a good fight, with a dang good fight. But let me know what you all think down below. Hope you enjoyed this prediction for what it was. As always, have a blessed day, folks. Peace.